That capital outflow makes it more likely that a devaluation is going to take place. And so you get an increasing spiral of speculation. Now, when this is happening, people start to turn their attention away from producing shoes and haircuts and hotel rooms, and instead spend all of their entrepreneurial and management energy on trying to bet on the foreign exchange market. So, not good for production, not good for GDP. Eventually, the devaluation takes place, or if the central bank exhausts its reserves, it has to abandon the peg. But at some point, the devaluation takes place, and everybody gets back to work until the next time the exchange rate comes under pressure. So the difference between the two regimes, in the presence of instability, in the presence of fiscal deficits and monetary laxity, is whether you like your adjustments frequent and small, or whether you like your adjustments discrete, large, and disruptive. Okay, with all of that now, let us turn our attention to some country experiences, starting with Jamaica. Up until 1962, when Jamaica gained its independence, Jamaica had a currency board. A currency board is an extreme form of a fixed exchange rate, of a pegged exchange rate, where the monetary authority has no legal or constitutional authority to issue domestic currency outside of the foreign exchange transaction. Under an ordinary fixed exchange rate, it chooses to confine its monetary policy to the foreign exchange window. It chooses to do so, but still has the option. It still has instruments to control the money supply independently. Under a currency board, it has no option. The currency board exists only to exchange currency. In 1962, the Bank of Jamaica Act set up the central bank in Jamaica, and Jamaica moved to a fixed exchange rate, a fixed or a pegged exchange rate. In the 1970s and 1980s, Jamaica then moved to a flexible exchange rate. Now, that statement comes as a bit of a shock to many people who are actually alive and remember Jamaica's foreign exchange situation in the 70s and 80s, because the government told us we had a fixed exchange rate regime. But those who remember Jamaica during the 70s and 80s will remember that we also had exchange controls. Exchange controls put limits on private individuals, private firms' ability to legally buy and sell foreign exchange. And the central bank would only buy and sell foreign exchange to those who were granted a license to engage in some activity by the trade board. In other words, the central bank was decidedly unwilling to trade foreign exchange at the announced rate to all comers. And we have learned that unless the central bank does that, you do not have a fixed exchange rate, you cannot fix the rate. And that is in fact what happened in Jamaica. The exchange rate was not in fact fixed, because if you wanted foreign exchange, then you would go on the black market. And the black market is nothing more than the exchange rate, the flexible exchange rate. You can put whatever adjective you want in front of market, but that is the rate that people buy and sell at when they need foreign exchange. It's important, though, that it was an inefficient flexible exchange rate because there was a high transaction cost. The transaction cost being the risk of being caught illegally trading foreign exchange, or the trouble to get in your car and drive to the Otrias market late at night. And so because there was a high transaction cost, there was a high spread between the buying and selling rate. In the 1990s, Jamaica moved from an inefficient flexible exchange rate with high transaction costs to an efficient flexible exchange rate with low transaction costs, when in 1991 we eliminated exchange controls.